Andy, you sent me something yesterday on April 2nd that I had to check the date because I had to make sure you weren't forwarding me something from April 1st, April Fool's Day. Do it. We've seen some pretty creative things on April Fool's Day, like news headlines. Like, for example, I follow a lot of college lacrosse. I think I've mentioned that. There was a one of the leading sites, the Lacrosse Network, posted that Clemson is going to go Division 1 starting next year. And I bought it hook, line, and sinker. One, because it was partially true, right? It seemed like it was a legitimate. They have a good women's team. They have a great facility there. I was like, finally, they're stepping up. And I was like, why can't Virginia Tech do this? So I bought in on that, Andy. So when you forwarded me this, but only then did I realize it was April Fool's.
Yeah.
But you forwarded me this, and I had to recheck the date, Andy. And it was not an April Fool's joke, but it very well should be. And for everyone, this is a story that was posted on CBS News, so I mean, you think what you want with the media, but it's it's at least established media. House Republicans launch long shot effort to rename Dulles Airport, which is in suburban Virginia, for those who may not know, Dulles International Airport, to honor Donald Trump. That's right, Andy, to honor Donald Trump. And let me just read you the statement from the representative, the House representative who put this in. In my lifetime, our nation has never been greater than under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump. As millions of domestic and international travelers fly through the airport, there is no better symbol of freedom, prosperity, and strength than hearing "Welcome to Trump International Airport." I can't help but laugh, Andy. I'm sorry. As they land on American soil. I mean, is this bad timing or like what the hell?
So, Dave, I mean, he's 40 years old, so he's been around for a minute or two at least, right? So his lifetime includes a fair amount of presidents, most presidents we've lived with. There's no way to say that things have never been better than they were underneath Donald Trump. We had COVID. I mean, just like not even the fault of President Trump, but like definitely wasn't the best of times throughout that presidency. But there's so much here that just like blows my mind away, right? Like one, like you don't rename national landmarks for guys while they're still trying to serve as president of the United States, right? At least like I was looking at when we changed national airport to Reagan. Reagan had been out of office for 11 years, right? Signed by a Democratic president, a while after the guy left office. Maybe still a little early, to be honest. Like, I think maybe we should wait till these guys die before we start naming things after them. But I know senators do this in their home states and whatnot. So, okay, make an argument. But listen, I feel bad for this congressman, right? I mean, I don't know how you feel about Dave, and I'm going to be a little bit, maybe a little bit too vulgar here, but like to say this publicly, like this guy might as well be on Capitol Hill with Donald Trump's schlong in his mouth, cupping his balls. Like you couldn't possibly like try and just please this guy more, than just polishing his knob nationally like this. It's just a gross and embarrassing moment for this poor congressman. Like I don't think he's married. I'm thankful that he's not, because I'd be embarrassed to be his kid or for his kids to go to school, like look their classmates in the eyes and be like, yeah, that was my dad blowing Donald Trump on DC's Capitol Hill yesterday. Like there is absolutely no reason to suggest doing this like right now, right? Like I mean, heaven forbid, I do not want to ever fly out of Donald Trump National Airport, right? But it, like you don't do this in the middle of a campaign for the White House while this guy's trying to run to go back to the White House. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. He was a one-term president, by any objective measure. He was at best a middling president, right? And that's only if you're looking at 20 or 30 presidents being like, I don't know anything about him. I guess he's as good or bad as they were. By most objective measurements, his 4 years in office were like among the lowest, performing in our nation's history, right? And if you just look among other presidents, Biden is in his first term. You could say equally good or bad, depending on how you want to look at it. But Obama was reelected, Bush was reelected, Reagan was reelected, Clinton was reelected, George W. Bush. You can say what you want about his presidency. It was actually a pretty good 4 year run, till the very end, where he got in trouble with some of his base and raising taxes. You can't say that Donald Trump was a better president than all of those guys. Like there's just no way to actually say that. It's just such a ass kissing gesture from this guy. I'm embarrassed for him, for the Republican Party, for I think it's six co-signers. There's no way this passes, right? And there's no way this becomes, goes to Joe Biden's desk. I'm just embarrassed for him. I'm embarrassed for America to even see this thing thrown out there.
Yeah, Amy, I love your cupping his balls. I think
Yeah,
this
Dave,
is,
one hand on the balls, one hand like holding the ass and like fully shoving himself into Donald Trump. I mean, it's a deep embrace to do this.
but like, how does this come up in because part of me wants to think that Trump is like, hey, you come over here. I got a great idea. How
Yeah.
about you nominate me for this? And in doing so, I will curry favor with you. Like, let me just like at what how fucking desperate are you to gain favor with a fucking loser like Donald Trump who would turn his back on you in a minute? Than to do something like this. And let me just say, Annie, like first of all, okay, say you wanted, like say you had a legitimate reason. Let, let's compare John Dulles, who was Secretary of State
Yeah.
during the Cold War. He was, and had an unbelievable career in politics on so many different fronts from World War II through the beginning part of Cold War. He was a huge figure with Dwight Eisenhower, who was talking about like why don't we rename the airport after Dwight Eisenhower if we want to? And you're going to compare him against the former president who like what do you so where do you put like I was convicted, I had 71 accounts of felony counts against me. I had to go to the judge to beg. I couldn't pay $450 million, even though I'm worth $11 billion, Andy. Like, where do you put those things up in the walls around Dulles, or I'm sorry, Trump International Airport? And like, at what, like, how much are you? This just shows you like how much the Republican Party is so lost on how they are viewing one, they're choosing to do this versus choosing to govern. And I think a really interesting part that we haven't really talked about since last week when we brought up about the speakership thing, Speaker Johnson is going back and actually doubling down now on trying to push real legislation because I think he realizes, look, we have House seats in jeopardy. We are losing members,
Yeah.
and they're going to be replaced by Democrats because we have an inability to govern. If Marjorie Taylor Greene goes through with this, um, and puts this to a vote, the, they're going to be voted out of office because they're incompetent and
Yeah.
because they refuse to govern. So this is just like you're choosing to do this versus actually vote on a border bill, talk about aid to Ukraine, things that really matter. And this is what you're going to choose to do. And I'm completely dumbfounded. I thought it was an April Fool's joke, Andy.
David, it is a joke. It is all about April Fools. Unfortunately, it's very, very real. So, hey, to Guy, a fellow military veteran, a fellow Iraq veteran, Dave, he served 3 years as a JAG officer. Congratulations, Guy. I'm honestly, I'm amazed by it. But Dave, we can't say on this because
I
it's hard.
know
It's
that's
breaking my brain, and the picture of this guy actually deep throating Donald Trump is like stuck in my brain right now. So. Gotta
yeah.
go. Gotta go.
Okay. All right, Andy. So I'm sticking on a little bit of the Trump topic because it's just all over the news, Andy. Last week, Trump, so, like his media company went public. The stock ticker is DJT. Ironically, even though it's social media, it's a different social media company name, but Trump media went public. It went skyrocketed the first day, like a lot of IPOs do. A lot of people want to get in. The problem is that Andy is what most of the world has realized, and most of the financial world has realized. If you don't actually make money in your whatever you're promoting, you actually wind up crashing. And
Yeah.
so, social media companies for a long time, a lot of technology companies, they were built on speculation. You're like, hey, this has got a lot of potential. This has got a lot of subscribers, but they never actually made money. And then within 2 years, they wound up the stock prices would go down to zero, and they'd go into bankruptcy or they'd get bought out by someone. Trump Social appears to be on that seventh on that same trajectory. The price spiked when it went out. All of a sudden, though, now Andy, it is now a third of what it was initially offered at. And so it this I mean it's because they don't make any money, Andy. It's a social media site that Trump, if Trump went away and Trump went back to Twitter or X or whatever, or some new platform, which he's threatened to do from his own
Company.
rhetoric, um would Truth Social be anything? Would anybody be on Truth Social? My guess is no. So
Yeah, I mean, you said right. I mean, like the up and down of it isn't so shocking, just because that is normal. I mean, Reddit had their IPO, it surged, it came back down. Like that's normal, right? That's the stock market. That's an IPO. What's just so Trump is the smoke and mirrors behind it,
yeah, yeah,
right? I mean, to whereas it lost nearly 60 million, bringing in 4 million. That's a pretty significant gap, right? A net 56 million in the red. Like that's kind of how Donald Trump's business enterprise runs, right? Losing money, moving things around. You can't really tell there's actually a profit, all very questionable. And I think those that aren't buying through social just to own a piece of Donald J. Trump, right? Because he's got his supporters that are cheering him on. Like that's fine, you can do that. But to anybody that's actually looking at an investment, it's like, oh, this ship isn't sinking. Like it never got out to sea, right? It was full of holes and started sinking in place, and that's what it looks like right now. So not shocking. It's prototypical of the greatest leader of our time, Donald J. Trump, and yeah, it is what it is. So did you already sell your shares, Dave, or are you looking to buy now that's down a little bit? Are you gonna go all in and put the pounder life savings in Truth?
yeah. I was contemplating it, but then I thought better of myself. I got distracted with something on the wall, so I started chasing after that dot on the wall, Andy. So sorry, I'm out on that for now. Maybe, who knows, Andy?
Yes.
You know. Okay, Andy, this is I'm dubbing this ridiculous Wednesday because
All right.
I'm going to go to another ridiculous topic, Andy. The problem with, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem. The thing with today's day and age is everybody's got a phone, everybody's got a camera, everybody's got a microphone on it, and they're going to catch people saying things sometimes that they may not. They think that maybe innocent or offhanded, and it comes back to bite them. This is not innocent or offhanded, Andy, but it is something to call out. Is another GOP representative from Michigan was talking to his constituents and was talking about the conflict in Gaza, and he said it should be over quickly like Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and the United States should refrain from sending any humanitarian aid to Gaza, as long as Israel continues its conflict with Hamas. We shouldn't be spending a dime of humanitarian aid. It should be like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Get it over quick. Now, I think what he probably intended to say was, hey, look, we need to find a way to get through this as a resolution. We need to find a way to end these wars. Probably diplomatically, not with nuclear weapons, though, Andy, and not to the deaths of um, millions of innocent people. And I think the reference to was he was referring also to the Ukraine. Andy, I like, what a fucking idiot thing to say.
Yeah, Dave, I saw it, and I read his statement that sort of tried to explain it, and
Yeah.
his follow-up, at least he tried to address it, right? He tried to address it and acknowledge, like, yeah, it's not what I was trying to say. And look, I just, politicians have microphones in their faces all day long. Like, I say two or three incorrect things each time we get on this podcast, right? On Wednesday, I said, you put your pants on two legs at a time like everybody else. Should have said one leg at a time like everybody else, right? So when we're talking, things come out that, aren't exactly what we meant for them to be said. So I give some grace to these guys because things can come out or be misquoted, sound bited, and it heard the wrong way. But look, as a general rule of thumb, right? Let's not encourage things to end the way they did in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, right? Let's not use metaphors to relate to the slaughter of millions and millions of people and the follow-on, cascading effects and trauma of millions and millions of people, of an entire nation. Like that's probably not the way to go. It's just a general tip to all public figures. Like find other metaphors, perhaps. Let's not compare things to nuclear bombs being dropped. Let's not compare, COVID lockdowns to the Holocaust, which is fucking ridiculous, right? Like find other examples that are more measured and responsible, less absolutely absurd. So I'm not going to condemn this guy. I don't know him. I'm not going to say he was trying to be, malicious or an asshole, but just like not a smart moment. So he came out, he corrected it. I'll give him some grace for that. Like I said, I say things incorrectly all the time, but come on, man, come on, come on, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah, little crazy. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but like we have to be careful what we're saying here, right? Like we really have to understand um that words have meaning, right? And if you're going to say things, and look, a lot of political operatives work in these meetings. They attend these calls to try to catch these type of things, and then post them, much like what happened here. Andy, another ridiculous area we're going to go to. And look, it looks like we're picking on the GOP, Andy, but look, don't be fucking idiots and stop saying stupid shit. And we'll stop calling. I mean, if the Democrats did the same thing, we'll call them out just as much, Andy. Like with the way they're going after RFK Jr. right now, the Democrats. I
Yeah.
mean, it's preposterous. Like grow a sack yourself and do this. But I want to call out one more GOP representative. This one is from the show me state of Missouri, who is now taking on a war against OnlyFans. Andy, the OnlyFans. For those who may not know, I don't know, Andy, you got a subscription to OnlyFans? You
It's a
probably
thing.
are the
I've got
top.
I've got a channel. I've got a
I
channel.
was gonna say you're probably the top promoter on OnlyFans. Everyone wants to see those pecs and your Detroit Lions thong and all that other fun stuff,
It's
Andy.
my Honolulu blue. I'm painted up in Honolulu blue, nude,
That's right.
before performing acts as my fans demand of me, and it's top notch, Dave. It's top notch.
For those who don't know, check out Bald Headed Warrior on OnlyFans and you'll get Andy's content. But Andy, this individual, Ann Wagner from Missouri, is now taking on OnlyFans, and she's basically say it's unconscionable. My findings confirm that my office have known for what my office has known for years. Americans are being sexually exploited on OnlyFans. Congress and federal law enforcement must do more. Andy, look, sex trafficking is a huge thing. We've talked about this. We talked with, the state of Florida, how they are now barring or they're trying to propose laws for strippers to be over 21, or because they're trying to counter sex trafficking. Again, this is again under the guise of sex trafficking because they think that children are being exploited on these sites. I don't think they failed to understand how users post on this site and the types of identifications and authentication that goes into it. So it's an easy catch-all, right? It's an easy, suburban idea that we're going to stand up and fight against these type of sex trafficking things. But Andy, there's so many other ways we can fight sex trafficking. There's so many more enforceable ways to do this, but you're going after OnlyFans. And I'm just not so sure that this is, again, when we have the opportunity to govern, we have aging infrastructure, we have healthcare problems, we have a border crisis. I'm just not so sure that this is attacked, Andy.
Well, it's not, and it's typical to see like the. I mean, you're right. I mean, it does sound like we're beating up on the GOP because they make themselves so beat upable, right? Whereas the Democrats will have their time. They certainly have done the same in the past and in different topics. But just stick with this one, right? So the GOP loves to rail on cultural issues, right? And so this congresswoman, the war on sex is not a new war, right? The war on profanity, I mean, you go back to the left right alliance, the Parent Music Resource Center back in the 80s, right? And you got Dee Snider of Twisted Sister testifying before the Senate, against the PMRC back then. And the same sort of cultural wars on what's good for our children, what's safe, it continues today. And like with OnlyFans, like I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't know this. I know what it is, but I've never been on the search. I don't know exactly how it works. But like before you start your campaign, like know what the hell you're talking about and like have a legitimate issue or gripe, right? And so it was good to see, in the Daily Beast, Sherry DeVille, who's an adult entertainer, she's been in adult movies and whatnot, sort of came out and said, like, look, this is an ill-informed, like nonsensical argument this woman is making about an issue that doesn't exist, right? She's just taking a swipe against online pornography as part of the broader GOP cultural war on sex in general. And look, I'm not saying enjoy OnlyFans or enjoy online porn or not. That's an individual decision. Do what works for you or don't. But when we come out with these ideas to ban things, right, to almost always to save the children, right? It's always for the children, for dear God, because the kids are under attack. It's just a mess. And we're seeing the war on porn across the country, right? I mean, age verification, you're seeing, porn sites pull out of certain states and blocked in certain states. And, you need to enter your personal information in certain states. There's a whole nother can of worms. It's a mess. And so, it's sad to see these things. They don't actually ever work. People, kids and adults can get around them and they do. And so it's usually just, political fear mongering, building their base, vote for me, and it's nonsense. So this is a nonsense issue. Glad to see it called out, and then there's this other voices I think are good. Just this week, there's a good article from Elizabeth Nolan Brown in Reason Magazine where she interviewed Nadine Strossen, a former, I think, president of the ACLU, and she's arguing the feminist case in defending pornography, right? And there's something there, right? Like there's additional perspectives people should think about whether you personally agree or disagree with a given topic or activity. Look, Dave, I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't think it should be illegal. I don't consume a lot of alcohol. I don't think it should be illegal. I don't enjoy prostitutes. I don't think it should be illegal. I don't smoke dope. I don't think it should be illegal. It's just stop telling other people what to do and how to live their lives. Do what works for you, and as long as you don't cause harm to others, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Right? That goes back to a maxim I like to go back to. I call it Gillespie's maxim. I shared before here, right? I believe in choice in everything. Like just do whatever the hell you want to do, as long as you're not hurting other people. Obviously, you're not involving children and harming children, but as a healthy adult, like do what works for you. If you want to watch porn or star in porn or have your OnlyFans channel, like just leave people alone. Like just like Congress, leave people alone. Quit slobbering on Trump's knob. Quit the war on sex. Quit calling for nuclear strikes in foreign countries, right? Just fucking pass legislation, keep the government open, right? Just block and tackle, guys, right? They're all trying to run fancy punt returns. Just block and tackle. Just do your job, Congress.
Yeah, I mean, run on your record. And I think that's the problem is people can't run on their record. And so they're trying to run on speculation. They're trying to run on, look at all the things I will do for you. Then they, it's back to the whole stock market analogy we had earlier about you get voted and then you put these people in office and what have they really done? What has like Marjorie Taylor Greene ever done for one, her district, and then two, for anybody else? And those are the type of people though that get you get plastered with it. These are the headlines that grab people's attention. Like, and really people want to understand what are you doing to help my situation better? And that's still why I'll never understand the Trump dynamic, other than that he's a voice for what people are thinking in their heads on a lot of things. And Trump gives them an outlet for that. I don't know. Andy, it's a ridiculous Wednesday. Um, Andy, we'll wrap up on this one. And this is not a political one, but it is another one of these like, oh my God, are they really here? And by the way, Andy, you do a great job of providing me content and material for leading through these podcasts. So I just have to go through the areas because you really hit on a lot of it. But Andy, like when we were in it must have been high school or maybe early college, the Scream movies came out and
Yeah.
they were good, right? I mean, I thought the first Scream was pretty good. It was a different take on things. Had a lot of good young characters in it. Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, the guy who played Scooby, Nathan or Matthew Lillard, and a couple other really big names. Did you know they're planning a Scream 7?
I knew there was anything after Scream 3, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I mean, I knew that they had a resurgence a couple of years ago, but I didn't know it was like, I thought that was like Scream 4 or something, but Scream 7 is being talked about now, bringing back Courtney Cox, who did come back in like I think Scream 5 and 6, and they're bringing back Nev Campbell, who really hasn't been seen for, I mean, for many things. I don't, maybe she just got out of acting for a lot of reasons, but um, this is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this franchise, so I mean, I don't know if Scream is considered a horror movie or like a comic outtake, right? I
Yeah,
don't know which one it is. Maybe it's both. Maybe that's just works for it. But like the fact this franchise still exists, like, I'm mind when people are paying money to go to the theater and watch a
right.
Scream movie, let alone Scream 7. But hey, it's exciting, I guess, right? If you're into comedy horror, it might be entertaining. I have no, like I said, I don't, I did, I was shocked to find out that these movies are still going on. So congratulations, I guess, Courtney Cox. Good for you that you're part of this enduring franchise. I mean, seven's a lot. That might surpass like Freddy Krueger and Jason Friday the 13th movies. Like there were only so many of those. That's pretty commendable.
I mean there's a certain trend here, like because you have the Fast and Furious movies, the Fast 10, I think was the last one. You have the Mission Impossible movies, which I think they're up to 8, which again is another one of these franchises that I thought was dead after Mission Impossible 2, and yet they still somehow, and they seem to be getting better with Tom Cruise just being locked into this role now for the rest of his life.
Yep.
And but you have these type of movies that keep coming out. Maybe this is why the box offices are struggling, because we keep recycling these same stories, and we don't actually bring a whole lot of new stuff to it. Like Kung Fu Panda 4, look, by all intents and purposes, by all reasons, it was very successful in the theater. Dune 2 is obviously a sequel. It's part of a trilogy. I get why that is out there, but this box office season, Andy, was one of the first quarter this year was down 20% from last year and down 40% from pre-COVID. The theaters are really struggling,
Yeah.
and I don't know if like Scream, I'm sure has a good loyal following, but is that going to drive the box office to success? I think the theaters are in a lot of trouble right now, and I just don't. I don't know how they can get out of it when you not really. I think they're making more things for how do I make things cheaper and that give me a better margin of profit.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon's famously quoted as saying, the when the DVD market went away in favor of streamers, that you can't make small budget movies anymore because they don't make money as DVD sales or rentals. You don't have that profit anymore, and so a lot of movie companies aren't taking risk on what are really good movies. Like he was saying, Good Will Hunting or some of these other movies would not be made today because they were just a good story, but they didn't have this magic IP behind it, or like, can we make sequels on this, and can we do this? Like what happened when Matt Damon went to California to visit his, like that wasn't in the offering. That was just a good movie with good actors built on a low budget, but you don't make those movies now. Instead, you make Scream 7 and so on and so forth. I don't know, Andy.
Yeah, I mean I think it's all right on. It's about making money, right? I mean you look back, but I don't know that it's new. So I looked up, we were chatting here. I mean, Friday the 13th went on a 12 movie run. Nightmare on Elm Street went on a 9 movie run. So, Scream's sort of just following the model of these horror classics, right? They build the following, they build the base. They're terrible movies for the most part, but they're fun for people. And I think
Yeah.
Scream's leveraging that. So, I don't know about Matt Damon's concerns about profitability. I mean, Hollywood seems to be making a ton of money. I don't think Matt Damon's exactly living in a shanty town, so my heart doesn't break for, Hollywood not making the profits they want to make exactly. I think they're doing just fine. Based on what I'm seeing on Netflix, I think they're making tons of money. So, models change, but Scream seems to be a successful franchise here, Dave. But I've got to mention, two things in closing. One I'll come back to, but you mentioned Kung Fu Panda 4, Dave. We touched on this. I think it's just got to be stated. Kung Fu Panda 4, Tenacious D, Britney Spears remake, Baby One More Time, absolutely bonkers, right? I went to sleep the other night and could not get this song out of my head. Jack Black's voice doing Britney Spears, absolutely mind blowing. So take a listen to Tenacious D, Baby One More Time, and your day, like that's going to be with you all day long. So enjoy that. That's a franchise that can continue, and Tenacious D somehow continues. Hats off to Jack Black, the just a hilarious, goofy individual.
Yeah, and and you will forget whatever Britney Spears looked like when she sang that originally, that had all the young men going crazy for her. Because when you see Jack Black in all his glory, it is quite good. Tenacious D, definitely he's such an underappreciated actor, Jack Black. I love a lot of his work. Of course he did. Tenacious D isn't just a one-time thing. They actually had a good little thing several years ago with Tenacious D. Is quite fun. So, all right, Andy, on this ridiculous Wednesday, anything else you feel like we need to sneak in here?
Dave, let's close it out with something I shared yesterday. Since we started off so heavy on politics, right? And I referenced Gillespie's maxim earlier. Every now and again, I'll hear something. I'm like, that is worth immortalizing. And that happened earlier this week. Nick Gillespie was again speaking on a podcast, and he said something that caught my attention. I went back and I heard it again. I was like, that is super important to remember. And as we discuss, slobbering on Donald Trump's strong, as we discuss, nonsense politics around us. Nick said this, and I capture this as Gillespie's second maxim, and I think it's worth immortalizing here. Politics can always be dumber and stupider than you can possibly imagine. Amen to that, because no matter how horrible you think it is, no matter how absolutely insane you think things are, they somehow can always be stupider, dumber, and more insane than we thought they ever could be. And we continually surpass that barrier of stupidity. So congratulations, Nick Gillespie, another absolute gem of a quote. And I just, I like to hold on to these things, Dave. They give me grounding and sanity. And that's one that I think is important to remember to talk about the nonsense of politics from all our public officials.
That's absolutely right, Andy, and that's probably a good way to just sum up this day today. So I'll have to pull that quote in somewhere. You might have to send me that quote there, Andy. But all right, Andy, good series of podcasts so far this week. Might have some variety change up for Friday. So you and I are still discussing. I'm going to be on vacation for a couple days, trying to get some time away, but we'll see what happens on Friday, everybody. But for that, everyone, and Andy, I will catch up with you next time.